Hey guys, it's Rob, and today we will go cover to cover with the Path of Exile 2 art book. Narrated by one of the best, Julie will take you through the dark and demented lore that is Path of Exile. There will be chapters, and I will be sure to give a proper warning when we approach Act 4 and 5 as to not spoil it for anyone. Grab a drink, throw on a map, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Path of Exile 2 is not just a sequel. It is a testament to the unyielding dedication of grinding gear games to push the boundaries of rich gameplay and immersion in the ARPG genre. Our goal was clear: to improve upon the award-winning formula of the original and deliver a gaming world that exceeds expectations. I am thrilled to share with you the visual journey that showcases the work of our talented art team. We faced challenges, celebrated achievements, and forged a bond that defines the very essence of this project. This is the culmination of years of artistic exploration, innovation, and unwavering commitment. I extend my deepest gratitude to each member of the team whose passion, dedication, and commitment have brought this vision to life. I must give a special mention to Steph Johnstone, our lead UI artist, for making our work shine with her amazing touch by putting this book together so beautifully. To everyone who has contributed to this project, your work will forever have a special place in my heart. To our community of players, streamers, journalists, and partners of Path of Exile, your ongoing enthusiasm fuels our creative endeavors. Thank you for your ongoing support, making Path of Exile possible. This book provides a glimpse into the vast world we've crafted. While we can't include everything, I hope you enjoy this curated collection as a teaser for the rich and immersive experience that awaits you in Path of Exile 2. With excitement, Jowie Lim, Character Art Director. Character Classes. The Marauder is a Karui raider who made his living leaping onto enemy sailing ships and bloodily clearing the deck with wide-swinging attacks. Like many Karui, he was raised to be a warrior from birth and instilled with belief in the traditional way. When a blood rage fever tore through his fellows and left him the only survivor, everyone else feared him, and he was forced to leave the seas he knew. The witch was born to a coven that made a fetid swamp their home. Very early on, it was evident that she was different from the other children. Her aptitude for the dark arts far exceeded theirs, and her ambition only grew with age. After delving into forbidden knowledge, she was banished by her coven, but her pursuit of power has hardly been tempered. Just the opposite. Now she has the whole world to explore and master. The Shadow is a former member of the Brotherhood of Silence, a group of assassins who carefully exercise power and manipulate events. They are among the most highly trained infiltrators and killers in the world. Not long ago, he was framed by one of his brothers in a vie for power and was exiled from the Brotherhood. The Ranger is a misanthropic woman of Izamite descent who lived in the forests of Ogum her entire life. Her mother died when she was a child, but she lived on. She was trained by nature itself as she survived alone. She was forced to leave her home by the recent emergence of corruption. Now she must battle to save nature itself. Raised by the Templars, he is the embodiment of Oriathan culture. Eye of time of training, as both a priest and an enforcer, has given him a lifetime of righteous outlook on all those who sin. He was already a true believer when he met Innocence in person, and that meeting only strengthened his faith. He was among the guards who failed to defend his god during the famed attack on the Chamber of Innocence. His survivor's guilt and sense of dereliction of duty has formed his very aggressive stance on threats to order and safety. The mercenary is a veteran of Oriathan's secular military. He's seen serious combat most of his life. He's bitter, grim, and dead set on surviving at any cost. His numerous scars attest to his dogged will to soldier on. As a child, the warrior was found washed up on the shore near Argham, and was subsequently raised by Renly the blacksmith. His tattoos are Izamite rather than Karui, and he proudly bears the culture of his adopted father. He lends his faith to the First Ones and knows little of the Karui way. Meant to die as a child in the arena, The gladiator defied his masters by winning match after match, even against much older and stronger opponents. The ultimate survivor, forged by a life of combat, he seized his freedom when Ariath fell. It took him 20 years to hunt down his former masters, and now, avenged, he wanders in search of a new purpose. The druid is an Izamite outcast who made the woods his home. He is the DA for his beliefs. He venerates the first ones, but puts more stock in mysterious entities that serve as the source of druidic power. His father trained him in these traditions, which included martial prowess and a connection to the land. The huntress picked up a virtue gem in defense of her people, and the spirit that guides the Osmeri severed contact with her. She was then banished for what she had done. However, she still believes in the choice she made. While growing up, the sorceress was chosen to be the next tailwoman of her Akara, and was therefore forbidden to enter battle. As she trained, she decided she wanted to fight instead. By breaking that sacred tradition, she was outcast, and decided to leave for other lands rather than wait out her 30-year sentence in the desert. The sorceress trained in storytelling and magic under the elder tailwoman of her Akara, so she is very knowledgeable about history and the mystical arts. The monk is from a pagan enclave near Ogham, a small monastery that rejects the Izamite religion. His faith centers on the benevolent dreamer, a being which offers guidance in dreams. He has been trained dreambat his entire life, but was told it was to instill discipline. Truth, his religion hides a dangerous secret, one he has unknowingly rejected by choosing to aid others in a time of darkness. Act 1, Ogham. Ogham is a heavily forested land on the distant northern shores of Reclast. Populated by Izamites for centuries, it suffered under a brief, but brutal, occupation by the Eternal Empire. The scars still remain, but the people have carried on, thriving for generations since. In recent days, a new darkness has crept through Ogham. There are rumors of erratic behavior by the Count, and sightings of creatures lurking in the forest. Wolves tread closer to the village than ever before, and people have begun to go missing. The citizens cower in their homes at night, afraid of the sinister shadow that now hangs over the surrounding woods. Lachlan, the head servant of the Count of Ogham. Lachlan took his family to the ancient graveyard in the deep forest to search for artifacts that might bolster the Count's claims to his proud lineage. This would have held no danger in prior years, but the sinister evil lurking in Ogham took its toll. And Lachlan's family, his despair has transformed him into a ghastly being of sorrow and rage. The Iron Count of Ogham was a kind and benevolent man before he married the Countess. In recent years, he has become increasingly obsessed with proving that his Izamite lineage has not been sullied by the brief intrusion of eternal conquerors. He now seeks power at any cost, a path which is slowly driving him to madness. Ogham's logging industry once thrived in this region. As the forest grew darker and the animals more rabid, it has been abandoned, leaving the area desolate and haunted. Those stubborn souls who stayed behind met unfortunate fates, and now wander the shore in search of respite they will never find. While the Eternals had their tyrannical boot pressed upon Ogham, they ripped up the old Izamite graveyards and replaced them with their own. Because of that egregious desecration, the dead have never rested well, but the sinister shadow over the forest has stirred them to new and lethal animosity. Creeping darkness has slithered into every corner of Ogham Manor. The Count and his court have slowly gone mad as corruption seeped into their minds. He ordered his men to dig in search of something he would not explain, driving them on in the face of outright exhaustion. Eventually, he decreed that anyone caught sleeping would be executed, and that was the last anyone outside the manor heard before madness descended. Act 2. The Vastari Plains. The home region of the Marikath, the Vastari Plains were once verdant and beautiful. 7 rivers supported a riverboat culture of merchants and tradesmen. Over thousands of years, the climate shifted, and now the Marikath travel by caravan rather than boat. The rivers and forests are gone, leaving only sand, salt flats, and badlands. The shadow of the Marikoth, the Ferredin, have always existed as outcasts, and in recent years, out of sight of the major Akaras, the Ferredin have begun to move as one. Rumors abound of a new king that has united them in common cause, and of alliances made with distant powers. Ancient tombs have begun to stick, abandoned cities have begun clamoring again, though not with life. Something dark has come to the sands of the Vastiri. The Lost Men. In the Mastodon Badlands, a tribe of lost men make their home. None know their language or religion, but a power of some kind does reside in their rituals. They worship the bones of the ancient mastodons, a faith which evokes the power of lightning and death. The nomadic Ardora make their home on carts pulled by trained rowers and harshly disciplined slaves. Life is not easy in the Vastiri Plains, so trade and planning are paramount. The Marakath culture is quite strict, and visitors are only tolerated if they are useful. But those that are accepted will find the traditions of the Ardura rich and beautiful. For countless generations, the Marikath have rejected newborns that don't meet their strict standards. They leave the infants to die in the desert, but the innocents survive because the Ferredin are always watching. This subculture of banished outcasts has long waited and gathered their power in secret, biding their time until the day they return home with a fury. Here lie the bones of the ancient mastodons. Once friends with the Marakoth, the mastodons used to voluntarily pull their carts and boats in exchange for food and adventure when the Vassan plains were verdant and lush. With the loss of their environment, the mastodons faded out and eventually marched to the Badlands one by one to die with their ancestors. Act 3. The Vol Empire. The greatest civilization to ever grace Reclast. At least in their own estimation, the Vol once populated cities across the continent. By their height, they were employing sophisticated technologies based on animated stone and engraved power currents sourced from manufactured crystals called soul cores. More colloquially known as blood crystals, soul cores were made by sacrificing human beings and trapping their souls within. At first, the process was reserved as a punishment for heinous crimes. But as Vol society grew reliant on technology, demand increased. Eventually, the Empire found itself suffering a population problem, as more and more people were sacrificed to fuel the machines. Finally, in an attempt to source even more power and acquire immortality, the last queen of the Vol and her thaumaturges initiated contact with a being far beyond their understanding. Only 3,126 refugees from the Vol Empire survived the events Tar followed. One of the most notorious criminals ever placed into a soul core, Blackjaw sparked the first rumors that those who were sacrificed remained aware inside their imprisoning blood crystals. The construct powered by his soul core was excessively violent when given the chance and seemed to display anger when in combat. The Vol considered this a plus and set him to guard the machinarium where cores were manufactured. Built to protect the secrets of the machinarium, Zikoati was the most advanced construct ever built. Powered by a large soul core, it was built into the very structure of the machinarium itself, set to activate if interlopers ever infiltrated the heart of the facility. Vol scientists were endlessly curious. Stone and technology were not their only explorations. They also delved into the secrets of living flesh, often finding ways to combine animals in unexpected ways to produce ferocious results. The most successful experiments were augmented with stone technology and used as guards. Vol experimentation with flesh did not stop at animals. Near the end of their civilization, the human form became as clay to the baldest, and blood became their ink. They altered their own forms in pursuit of beauty and perfection, losing all perspective on what it meant to be human. Agorot, once the ancient citadel of a great Vol thaumaturge, the Agorot devolved into a home for twisted fungi, hallucinogenic mushrooms, and inbreeding cultists who slowly lost their faculties over the generations. Now, it is one of the most dangerous remnants of the sunken city of Utsal. It does remain above the poisonous waters, but setting foot there is tantamount to death. The only sign of the Agorot's origins is the statue of Adzari that remains at the pinnacle. Cenobites and Anchorites. The sunken city of Utsal is not lifeless. When the waters flooded the region, many citizens of the city were trapped within sunken temples or atop them. They found ways to survive, but remained where they were in the belief that Queen Eitziri would come save them. That never happened, and they degenerated over the generations, eventually forgetting the outside world even existed. Their religion is a mockery of Vol beliefs, and their intellects have faded to barely functional. All they retain is the animalistic ability for violence, and they do not hesitate to use it. Many of the remaining UTSL bloodlines have been trapped with the submerged temples for thousands of years. They subsisted off fungi and mushrooms, while losing all rational faculties. Massive inbreeding led to horrific mutations, but they continued to procreate through the use of Vol flesh molding techniques left over in the temples. Ignogdak the Bog Witch. On the night of each blood moon, Ignogdak steals a child from the local tribes. She sacrifices the child in a bloody ritual, and that child's soul forever serves her afterwards. Capable of horrific dark magic, Ignogdak is the deadliest witch in the jungle. The Carver tribe, although mutated by ancient corruption, does coexist with the jungle around them. The Beastmaster is a role passed down from generation to generation. He trains their animals into vicious beasts fit for war. The sunken city of Utsal was once a thriving metropolis that served as the intellectual heart of the empire. Most of the Vol scientists lived there, including the greatest thaumaturge of the age, Doriani. When the cataclysm occurred, the nobles gave the order to flood the city. Whether it was intended to be a mercy for a doomed populace, or a spiteful effort to deny would-be looters, none can know. Due to its flooding, Utel remains as the last intact Vol ruin, still hiding the secret knowledge of the Vol Empire's greatest minds. The Carver tribe makes their home in the swampy wetlands near Utsal. The water is still poisonous, but the Carver seems to have adapted to its toxins. The bog itself comprises the thickest and deadliest portions of the jungle. The unique fungi and mushrooms that grow atop the agorot induce spiritual hallucinations when eaten. Those Vol that survived atop the agorot believed these visions wholeheartedly and made no attempt to escape over the generations.
Hey, thanks for coming out, but this is that part where you're going to want to leave if you do not want spoilers for Acts 4 and 5. Do the YouTube stuff if you enjoyed yourself. Hopefully you learned something or thought it was entertaining, and I'll see you out there.
Act 4. Ingamakanui, the series of islands colloquially known as the Karui Archipelago, is home to a wealth of diverse cultures. Countless tribes maintain a semi-nomadic existence in the archipelago, and newcomers from another continent, the Kalgarans, have recently made a home in the town of King's March. This contact has been mostly peaceful so far. However, the archipelago is not without its dangers. In recent years, several islands have become too dangerous to visit, most notably the Isle of Shrikes, where many Karui tribes used to hold their tests of adulthood, has become tainted by corruption. Another island has become infested with horrific parasites, and yet another has seen entire tribes vanish mysteriously on the night of the full moon. It is clear that something dark is moving on the sea, and travelers have been advised to remain wary and vigilant at all times. Suck to the light, and do not separate from your fellow man. The creator of the Halls of the Dead, Hinekora, maintains what is tantamount to an afterlife for the Kori people. When a Kori dies, their soul travels to the Halls of the Dead and is judged by its deeds achieved in life. If it lived with honor and died a warrior, that soul may participate in the trials of the ancestors' glorious combat designed to while away the days until the end of time. Those who did not live a glorious life, on the other hand, are sent to the chambers of the dishonored, where they eat, drink, and carouse at their leisure. Hinekora herself is known for the gift of prophecy. According to her Hatungo, Hinekora remembers the previous cycles of time and thus has much wisdom about the path ahead. She sees not what you will do, only what you did and what you might do again, probably. The chieftain of his tribe, living in Ngama Kanui Hoko, is a staunch proponent of the Karui way. In a time when many tribes are growing fat and happy through peaceful trade with the Kalgorans, Hoko feels that his people must return to the tenets of strength and dominance that carried them through ancient times. He is not advocating outright violence against the Kalgorans, at least. Not yet, but tensions are certainly growing as many of the older generations support his cause. The Kori way forbids the use of virtue gems by Ngokra Makwa, and there is a very good reason for that. Since the days of the now fallen Vol Empire, it was known that corruption combines dangerously with Karui blood, causing massive fiery blisters and a powerful blood rage that drives warriors to madness. If the Karui warrior becomes afflicted, they also become contagious, and anyone who touches them must die as well, lest the infections spread rapidly. The culture referred to as the Karui is actually a vast collection of separate semi-nomadic tribes that share certain breaths or culture. The culture referred by the Karui way is a set of tenets and traditions that have preserved their way of life while multiple empires have risen and fallen on reclassed, proper. The way emphasizes strength, respect, and purity of body and mind. Technology is not outlawed, but discouraged, while the use of virtue gems is outright forbidden. For each victory a warrior achieves, one tattoo is given, and the most accomplished among them will often be intricately adorned. The Halls of the Dead. The descent into the halls of the dead is not an easy one. An open maw in the middle of the sea, it has long been used as a test of worthiness for those who seek the advice of their ancestors. The challenges posed are adjusted to the person climbing down. A child will face tests of character, while a warrior must fight ancestral spirits to prove themselves. The current home of the Tukahama tribe, Engakanu, is a thriving Karui settlement that is not generally open to outsiders. In the harbor, visitors may trade, but only those who respect the way will be allowed further entrance. The Karui way forbids the use of virtue gems for a reason. Unfortunately, gems are not the only source of corruption. One simple mistake may cause an outbreak of blood fever among the warriors, and in that chaos, much blood will be spilled. Many Karui tribes use the Isle of the Shrikes as their test of adulthood. Young men and women that wish to be recognized as warriors must swim to shore, ascend the cliffs, and steal a valuable and delicious shrike egg. In recent years, however, this island has become lethally dangerous due to mutations among the shrikes caused by corruption. Act 5, Oriath. The rest of the world believes Oriath was abandoned 20 years ago, after a series of crises forced an evacuation of the populace. The Twilight Order, however, did not flee. They emerged from countless centuries of secrecy to rebuild Oriath's heart, and now they are making plans to reshape the world. In the wake of the slaying of the beast, the gods have returned to Reclast, and are making civilization impossible. The Twilight Order is dedicated to the cause of freeing mankind from the tyranny of the gods. Their intention is good, but many may not agree with how they plan to meet their goal. Lumerius, the first and last Emperor of Twilight. For generations, the Twilight Order has sought to raise the Savior, a hypothetical perfect human being that combines all the best of humanity without any of its flaws. Bloodlines were carefully mixed and managed to produce groups of special children who would then be raised in isolation. Throughout their lives, they were taught philosophy, science, and every other subject vital to a pinnacle mind. Then, they were trained in the physical arts as well, pushed to be the peak of perfection. After countless attempts, Lumerius was the first to meet the criteria. A man of total mental and physical capability, combined with compassion, kindness, and altruism. He is the chosen savior, and he will reshape the world. Essie and Paulius. Only one child could be chosen. The rest were not as lucky as Lumerius. The rest were intended to drink poison, leaving Lumerius free to do his duty without attachments. Essie and Paulius, however, secretly refused to do this. That does not mean their loyalty has wavered. Together, they are a formidable duo that fights in service of the cause. The leader of the secret genetic project to produce the Savior, the High Priest of the Twilight Order, is a man of absolute conviction. He carries the weight of sin so that his order may remain pure. To that end, he maintains a secret alliance with the Breach Lord, the source of the Order's knowledge about genetic manipulation. The Countess, a devout believer in the cause, the Countess walked the world in many guises, searching for a solution to the divine devastation being wreaked by the gods. When she found the Hooded One and the seed of destruction he was carrying, she knew she had found the answer. Her machinations have given the Twilight Order the best chance they've ever had to free mankind from tyranny. The Countess has not been unaffected by her travels, and by her proximity to the beast. She has given everything for the cause, and will continue to do so, no matter what the cost. There was only one thing she was secretly unwilling to give up: her son. Fortunately, Lemurius was chosen to be the savior, a fact which some find strangely coincidental. The Twilight Order have their allies in every culture worldwide. The Ferredin, the outcast subculture of the Marakath, have willingly joined the Order in droves. They have never had any gods of their own, and only no oppression from the gods of the Marakath, so their faith in the cause burns brightly. The Stigmata. The Twilight Order have maintained an enclave in the Karui archipelago for more than a decade, evangelizing their faith and converting the disillusioned youth of the islands. Those Karui who join the Order are treated with great respect and lauded as warriors, giving them the recognition their former elders denied them. The Estates, Gemling soldiers, the result of clandestine Templar experiments with artificially grown virtue gems. The Gemlings are utterly controlled by the crystals growing within their flesh. While they are indeed powerful, they also have no will of their own. They were ordered to protect the wealthy families of Oriet's estates during the evacuation, but now they remain perpetually on guard with no master to change their orders. The Den of Pleasure. Oriath's wealthiest sought outlet through many forms of debauchery. Their downfall began with the discovery that mixing a small bit of corruption into wine could temporarily dull a person's limits. As they drank more and more and became addicted, the Den of Pleasure became a place of pain and horror rather than enjoyment. The Twilight Order long existed as a secret association buried within the Templars. Oriath maintained its power through the use of a strong navy, and the Order has continued that tradition. The Twilight Order does not, and has never, worshipped a god. Once freed from the overbearing yoke of the Templars, the Order was free to build cathedrals, venerating what they considered the true religion, adulation for the coming savior. The Art of Path of Exile 2. This sequel, a labor of passion and innovation, builds upon the success of the original, offering a fully realized world comprised of deeply envisioned cultures, dark conflicts, and exciting combat. The art within these pages are the result of the collective efforts of a passionate and talented art team. This is a testament to the creativity and collaboration that fueled every stroke of the artist's brush. It is with immense pleasure and pride that we welcome you to the unveiling of the artistic tapestry woven within the pages of the Art of Path of Exile.